I want to be respectful of everybody's time. But thank you, everybody, for joining the Power Platform 24 Revealed. I'm your host, Chris Cognetta. Along with me, my good friend, Connor Ingram. Hey, Connor, good to see you out there today.
Hey, everybody.
And today we decided to dress as Ebony and Ivory in honor of Pi Day. So we both had black and white shirts, unscripted, but certainly here to have a lot of fun with you guys and talk about the upcoming Power Platform session. So Connor, this is one of the first or second main event that you're going to be speaking at. Why don't you talk a little bit about what actually is the Power Platform 24 Revealed? What's it about?
Yeah, it's a 24-hour essentially live streamed event, right? Where we're going to have, I believe there's, funny enough, 24 different sessions that are actually going on. So it's a really great opportunity for, people across the world to kind of tune in and live and learn some new things about the platform.
Awesome. And where is this event being held, Connor?
It's all online. So
it's all online. So I don't have to go to some have expenses to go. I don't have a hotel fee, nothing. Nope. I can just attend the conference and get instant information. That's great.
It's free too.
And it's free. So
it's free.
You can attend online and it's free. And being that it's 24 hours, should I assume that things are also recorded that you can watch later?
That I don't know.
Okay.
I want to say yes, but I don't actually know.
Okay. So I know you've been working very closely with the team there and, the sessions and kind of detail. Mm-hmm. What kind of sessions do you think are going to be there? Is it something for a business person? Is it a technical session? What kind of value would I see heading to this conference?
That's a good question. I think there's a good variety of sessions. One of my favorite people, I'm going to call out her sessions as well. Deon Taylor, which you know well, Chris. She's got 2 different modules. She's going to be talking about some of the new features that are coming out, 2 dynamics in Wave 1 this year, and she's also going to be talking about finding underutilized features within Dynamics 365. So we've got feature-based kind of things, and then we've also got some deep dives like let's see, Kat Schneider. She's doing a session on JSON, a low-code introduction for no-coders. So how do I use JSON within my low-code, no-code, low-code applications? So there's a pretty wide range. I think this is probably going to be a little bit more user-focused, as in people who are using the systems from day to day, but it does look like there's a few more kind of business-focused sessions. Mine included, I think is good for business users. I'm going to be talking about Canvas versus model apps, why you might use one for the other, et cetera, et cetera. And that's my session's going to be at 5 p.m.
5 p.m. Eastern?
Yes, Eastern.
Okay, perfect. And that's a lot of stars there, right? Good friends with Deon. She's a business apps MVP like I am. We're actually doing a session, Tasha, I think it's the 27th on Wednesday, in regards to Ask the MVP for Copilot. So that's great. Happy to do that as well. Shameful plug while we're in a current webinar. So if you can join us there as well. Tasha will probably put a link in the window. I see her typing, so that's good too. And then, of course, with Kat, another one, MVPs. If you don't know, I help tutor Kat in that process, as well as I'm working with Connor on that process as well of the path to becoming an MVP, right? People who like to give back to the community, and through these events and having these sessions is really what happens. It's the passion to share with the users, and that's what you guys are about, right? So that really leads us into, why we're doing this webinar, and it's really to talk about what's happening at the webinar, what are the kind of sessions that are there, and bring attention to the fact that, what is low code? So you heard Connor talk about low code. Is there anybody that doesn't know what low code is, or on the phone? Can we get a raise of hands here? Does anybody have some raise of hands? Don't be shy. Okay. So low code. So low code is a concept that's been around for a long period of time. It has failed several times throughout the year, throughout years. Multiple companies have tried to do it, but Microsoft started looking at the actual level of developers needed based on timelines and, just statistics that they have. And we have a short of over 4 million developers by 2028. And the only way to help close that gap to do things was to help build tools that enable people that can actually do things like an Excel formula, or they're a business analyst, or maybe they can take a PowerPoint presentation and link slides. If you have some of those skills, then you have the start of what it's like to be a low-code developer. And what low-code means is that, just like you're saying, I'm not learning how to write loops and instructional code that I would do at a regular .NET or something like that. It's more of, I want to add these two things together. You have some formulas, drop and drag, what you see is what you get type of designs. And the first place we saw this in Microsoft is actually Power Apps. So if you look at Power Apps and how you can go into a Power App and basically drag a field over, point at your CRM or your SQL or your SharePoint data source, that allows you to connect to that, and you can instantly build an app. And my favorite now, with the Copilots on board, you can actually go to make.powerapps.com and you can experience a Copilot builder where you just tell it in English, build me an app that is for a used car dealership that tracks vehicles, mileage, domestic, foreign, maker, color of interior, outside, condition, and you press the button and it goes off. And not only does it build the app, but my most favorite part about it is that it actually will use AI to go and grab like all the car makers. So Connor, it automatically fills out like all the Toyota, Ford, and the model and the mileage. And then you think like it would just automatically pick random interior colors. It doesn't. They're real interior colors: gray, black, tan. There's no purple. There's no greens. It's just amazing that it knows that. And what is it getting it from? It's getting it from the model. So this is a way to help business analysts who know the business better than anybody else, right? They know the details in the trench and be able to translate that knowledge into building these apps. And what we like to talk about these apps as being context specific. So when I build an app, I'm building an app for a department. I'm not building an app that has 25 or 30 different departments type of thing going in there. I'm building the one app that does this particular job, solves this problem or pain point that I'm having, and that app will allow me to basically build it. And this is really the process of low code. By the way, I want to shout out CongruentX is sponsoring, and our www.getlowcoderight.com talks all about how we do low code. And Connor, my co-host here, Connor, why don't we start with tell them about your background, right? Where did you start? What did you do before CongruentX? I want everybody to understand, and again, if you haven't seen Connor on YouTube and the things that he's doing, I want you to understand where he came from and how fast that journey was. So Connor?
Yeah, I actually have a degree in audio engineering, so not even closely related to IT or tech or software or anything like that. My journey started in a warehouse. So on the weekends, I'd go out and help set up corporate events. I'd run audio for live events and things like that. I had a little home studio that I worked in, and during the week, I worked in a warehouse. And I was helping one of the companies I worked with. I was helping them take all of their, audio equipment, visual equipment, and moving that to a digital system. That digital system had a lot of limitations and different things that we wanted to do that we couldn't do with it. And so, I started working on things in like an Excel sheet just to get it working, and, doing research into that led me to the Power Platform. And I quickly discovered that if you can absorb things like how to build an Excel sheet, how to write basic formulas in Excel, you can really take yourself from having no code experience like myself. I still don't have a traditional coding background, and be able to make incredibly powerful and scalable applications in the platform. My very first application I built was a fully functional inventory app that helped manage inventory going out, inventory coming in. How do we know which pieces of inventory are going to be ready for this show versus this one, et cetera, et cetera. So it's certainly, we do see a lot of traditional developers and programmers adopting solutions like low code, no code, but it's certainly not limited to that. A lot of times we see, the average day-to-day person, got a degree in audio engineering or no degree. I've talked to a lot of people that worked at like retail stores that have adopted the platform and have learned it and really have changed their careers and or their businesses using it.
Absolutely. And the concepts of apps is nothing new. Apps, pick up your cell phone. How many apps you got for social media? You got Instagram, you got LinkedIn, you got Facebook, you got maybe TikTok and others. We're already used to this concept of an app. So why can't we do the same thing in a business, right? Why can't I have an app that specifically makes this for me? And by enabling the business users to do that app, not only use the tools like Connor's mentioning, but also the time, the ability to use the AI, the ability to use the tool set to deliver these things. These are the kind of sessions that you're going to see at Power Platform. Many of the people on the first Power Platform conference I went to in Orlando about a year back, they didn't know databases. They didn't know how to connect to data sources. They had Excel spreadsheets that they wanted to work with. They had data in a SharePoint list they wanted to work to. The other thing about low code is it's called no cliff development. And yeah, I said the word cliff. So you drive a car off a cliff. Well, the other tools that used to have these things, you could only go so far. So you would build something, and then all of a sudden you're trying to talk to a downstream system, grab another file, something along those lines. And what would happen? You couldn't go any further. So then you have to go to your dev team and they say, you can throw that away. We need to build a whole new thing over here that's going to do that. Well, at no cliff development, once you get to a point where you're trying to do something like that, developers can then extend that code with .NET, with the tools that they use. And that brings up the second point that Connor brought up, which is the audience. Yes, it started out as business analysts, but we have many developers that are pro code developers that are using Power Platform to deliver apps. Think about delivering inside a framework that once you build it, and this used to be the old Java promise, Connor. I don't know if you remember the Java promise. You build it once and it runs everywhere. Do you remember that tagging back in the day?
I'm not familiar, but it sounds right.
You build it once, it runs everywhere. That was their whole big thing, right? Well, in Power Platform, Power Platform runs as an emulator on any device. And the emulator is what does the work. So whether you have an Apple, you have an iPhone, you got a tablet, you got a computer, your desktop, laptop, whatever you're running it on, you don't have to test for any of that because you're executing inside of that protected kernel, right? So when I build this Power App, I'm not testing it for every browser. I'm not testing it for every phone that's out there, which is a huge advantage over building something from scratch and using some custom frameworks that you need to worry about all those things. So there's a lot of advantages to use these tools. Now, you can have these custom tools. And if you look at Microsoft's Dynamics products, they're model apps, right? Those model apps are what started off as the solution. And then people said, well, I like that. It looks great, but I don't want it to look like that. I want it to look like, Cat does some great stuff with cats and all kinds of things flying around, and Connor does too, right? I want these kind of buttons, and I want my logo on there, and I don't really want it to look like CRM, and that's where the Canvas app came in, and the ability to have pretty much any kind of design that you want to build inside that app. And again, of course, you need to be Photoshop savvy and other things, or you've got to be great at cut and paste from the web, because that's how I do it, and stick them in there and use backgrounds and all that. But it's amazing the kind of quality you can deliver. And these are the things and lessons you're going to learn. And people like Connor, who came from that group. Kat is another one who's a business analyst, started doing this on the side, and rock star. Connor, what's the other lady's name? Who's the other MVP? Christine Kazansi?
Kolodziejski. I think I said it right.
Okay.
Yes.
Is she also there?
No, she's not presenting.
Oh, she's not this time. Okay. Well,
No.
shout out.
Yeah.
But also she does a lot of low code. So I hope we've really talked about low code and why the Power Platform is awesome. But Power Platform is a lot more than just Power Apps, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you look at all the tools, it's Power Apps, Power Automate, Power BI, Power Pages, or Power,
Mm-hmm.
what else we got there? We get them all? PVA,
Yeah, RPA.
RPA.
I would consider that under the Power Platform
Yep. So
umbrella.
when people talk about Power Platform, it's not just Power Apps and it's not just the dynamic suite of tools. It's the fact that you can use all these tools against external data sources, internal data sources, data warehouse in your existing environment, even if it's on-prem, which Connor and I can tell you that's a coffee story. If you're ever in a webinar or you're at somewhere and you want to talk about that, that's they have an on-premise gateway that allows you to connect your Power App to your on-premise data. But there's a lot of work involved in that and probably a little bit more technical in that aspect of a low-code person trying to do it. But it is absolutely possible for your IT team to set up a gateway so that your apps can access your data as well. So don't think that this is cloud only. It's not. But that's what this platform is about, the innovation. I expect we will see a lot of people using AI in some of these conversations. One of them specifically, there's probably some sessions on AI Builder and using AI Builder inside of an app. I always tell the story about AI Builder where I saw it, and if you look it up, they did one with JJ Pepsi, I believe it's called, and they went in and they were having a problem not being able to count the sodas on the shelves. Like it was taking too long to do that. And Walmart, for example, requires that every driver who's putting soda do the inventory and count how many they checked in and out if you want to sell in that store. So the poor guy you see that's running in and dropping all those sodas off, he's got to do inventory as well and then do the next stop. So they built a custom Power App with AI Builder that you can take a picture of the soda bottles and it does the inventory. I'm talking about cases. I'm talking about things stacked on top. I'm talking about things in the little refrigerators at the front of the counter, everything. And it's been highly successful. So, of course, I decided to see what I could build at home. And I came up with one for my wife's shoes closet so that I could take a picture of all her shoes first. Then she goes out and shops. And then eventually I take another picture and I can see all the new shoes she bought.
See discrepancies there.
Unfortunately, I only got a 35% on the training model. And what happened there was that the AI could not detect. It could detect a shoe. It could detect a sneaker. If I asked you to describe a sneaker, Connor, what's one element of a sneaker that would show out right away?
I mean, the laces. There's just so many shapes to shoes that is a challenge.
Yeah. The swoosh, right? The logo on there. You don't have that on dress shoes, right? You don't have that big, thick sole, right? You don't have that. So that's an easy way to tell a sneaker. But think about a shoe and a boot together, and then it's cut off at the jean. How do you know which one's the boot and which one's the shoe? You don't, right? Also down to the stitches. So that's why that example wasn't great, but it was a fun exercise. I have a friend that did it with comic books. Why? Because every time he's going out to a comic book convention, he's trying to remember what he has. I don't know which one so he took pictures of all of his comic books. He sorted them all. He built a Power App, and he's able to take pictures of ones that he wants. He goes out, it pulls out all the information, how much it's worth, everything. He doesn't know an ounce of development.
That's crazy stuff.
Right? So we hear these stories over and over again. And by the way, if you're here and obviously you're here for Power Platform, but why does Congruent X here having these webinars? It's because this is what we do every day. We deploy these items. We work with large customers, small customers to help really achieve outcomes and help solve those adoption problems. And we do that with Get Low Code Right as well. So if you're interested in learning more about how to do it to a business, you certainly can reach out to that name and number. And again, don't want to be a commercial or a sales guy, but I have to do that too. So let's get back to the conference. So it's 24 hours. It's remote. So you can join in your pajamas. You don't have to have your camera on.
Absolutely.
You probably get a lot of good content that you can download and screenshot. The last ones that I've been to, I believe you can download presentations or to see the presentation as well. So that's great. If not, we can obviously, very important, at the end of the summit or at the end of the reveal party here, there'll probably be a feedback survey. And in there, if you don't see the ability to download, ask, because a lot of times we have to upload it anyway to be able to present, right? They ask you to upload copy and that kind of stuff. So, Connor, you've been to other conferences in the past, but this is like, and I know we all have done virtual conferences during COVID and that type of thing. What are some things you're looking to take away yourself from the Power Platform? What give us 3 things that you think you could pick up from here?
I think something I'm really looking forward to is learning some of the new features that are coming out. I think the main benefits that I want to walk away from this conference are that, and then also from my perspective, getting more experience presenting in a remote way. I've only ever done this once before, and I think it'll be really interesting and a fun learning experience for me to just be able to present at a remote conference versus an in-person one. And I think something else that I think is going to be beneficial for others and for myself as well is finding more use cases and starting to learn about different subjects that you haven't before. There's a lot of, in my world, I'm very, very much focused on the Power Platform and kind of Dataverse side. I don't always look, at other applications like field service or customer service or different things like that. I know there's going to be some specialties on those that's going to be happening. So those are always fun to listen in on and kind of see what's available with tools like that.
Awesome. Hey, for those of you who don't know what Dataverse is, Connor, you want to tell everybody what it is?
Dataverse is the best way I like to think of it is it's kind of like the default data source for the Power Platform. The backend is SQL, but essentially, like Dataverse is an interface. It's what we're calling the Power Platform data source that's giving you a really easy way to create tables, create views, add columns and things to your tables, create relationships between those things, using the power of a data source like SQL, but presenting it as Dataverse in a really user-friendly way, right? Because I've never really had to do this before, other than one other time, but it's actually, at least for me, not really easy to spin up a data source in SQL directly. It's not that easy to create tables. It's not that easy to create columns, but Dataverse gives you a data source and a framework, used to be called the common data solution, to actually give you a user no code way to create data sources for your day-to-day tasks, or even applications like Dynamics 365, sales, customer service. They all use Dataverse as a backend. You can use Dataverse to configure those tables and add fields and create your own views and things like that.
I know what you're thinking. That sounded very technical, but let's break it down. In Excel, you have rows. You have columns. And if you think about that spreadsheet, the tab at the bottom, that is basically the table, right? So you have a table of customer information. Maybe it's their name down the side, and then it's got, their revenue, or if it's, it could be parameters about them, male, female, for HR perspective. Shout out to Robin on the phone call, things like that, right? So those tables or that structure would allow you to then, access that type of data. And to Connor's point, you're just saying, hey, I want to capture a birthday, and it suggests the type of field. I want to pick a color, and it says, well, here's some colors, right? It's doing all the stuff behind you to connect it and put it together. So, and really, these are the tools that you're using. So exposing that and allowing that to happen is really the power of the platform. And that's what we call it, right? The power of the platform. The old CRM guys who've been around since 1.0, that database and that structure that was there in CRM has become Dataverse. All the things you do, the security roles and all the filters and everything that was there became that platform, and apps became the UI that sit on top of it. So we call the Microsoft Dynamics Suite first-party apps. Anything that you build would be a third-party app, right? That sits on top of it, but you get to use the same tools, the same solution, the same details that the Microsoft team is using to deliver these solutions, which is crazy powerful. And again, a lot more to come. I am currently at MVP Summit right now. I am attending some sessions on some new stuff. I'm not allowed to share. I can share but kill people, right? But the bottom line is that we're only hitting the forefront of these things. The solutions and the things keep growing. AI is making it go faster, and it's going to make it more efficient for anybody to be able to do this. So we got about 2-3 minutes left. Wanted to see if there's any questions on the phone call that we can open up that we haven't really answered about Power Platform. But the big thing is, conference is 24 hours long. No, you do not have to stay up the whole entire time. You
March
should be
20th.
able to watch it and see it in your pajamas with some soda can and Coke. Connor's putting a link to the courseware so you can see what it looks like.
Yep.
And again, if you're building out there and you want to do this, these are users presenting to users, right? So you're not talking about some guy that's strong in .NET, and it's possible they're there, and it's possible they're using low code too. So that's the great part about it. So there's no novice to top dog. You'll be able to get your questions answered, and I'm pretty sure it's interactive, so you can ask some questions of the host at the end as well. And that's really our recap of what it's going to be like, what type of sessions, what kind of things they're going to be talking about, and it's really all the things we're doing here every day at Congruent. So I didn't see anybody want to raise their hand. Any questions you'd like us to try to help answer now? Let us know. We're here for you.
This is March 27th.
March 27th is the next webinar that we're doing on Ask the MVP for AI. So me and Deon Taylor will be really doing all the co-pilots and all those type of things and any type of question for that. But Connor, when is Power Platform 24?
It is March 20th. So it starts in the morning and then we'll wrap up March 21st in the morning. So March 20th is really the date.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah.
So it's not a night to drink before.
No.
Get your sleep in, get to bed early.
It's going to be a long day.
Yeah.
Right? Lots of coffee, bring the jug in on your desk and get ready to immerse. I use OneNote while I'm watching these conferences, and I take screenshots and I paste it in my OneNote so that I can go back and say, oh man, that's really cool. Instead of trying to write the whole thing down, take that screenshot, smart. Paste it in your OneNote, leave a little text. Then you can always go back and try to search and find out what that was. But that's a great way to help do a webinar like this with so much content coming at you. And really, go now. Go look at the session catalog. Connor put the link in the window. Find what you want to see. Select those sessions so you know what time they are. And look, everybody can't take off of work all day to do that, but there will be sessions throughout the evening that you can do. And if you're looking to really grow your experiences or see how these platforms are, this is a free way to do it. There's no excuse not to learn a new skill here, right?
Oh, yeah.
So with that, Connor, I'd like to thank you again. Good luck presenting. And really, I think, do we have a hand up there? No. Good luck presenting at Power Platform, and excited to see what you come back, and maybe we can do another follow-up where you actually do that presentation for everybody online as well.
Absolutely.
Would love it.
I did have my hand up, Chris.
Oh, hey, Chris. Thanks for joining.
How you doing? Thanks. Yeah, I joined a little late, but yeah, really looking forward to this webinar. Canvas apps is something that I don't have a lot of experience with, and I was curious, do you think they'll bring Copilot inside Canvas apps from the standpoint to help builders create code quicker?
It's already there.
Already there. Go to make.powerapps.com and look at the top window. It'll say enter in an English explanation of what you want to build. And the example I always use is I'm a used car dealership, and I want to track my vehicles, the year of the vehicles, the brand, foreign, domestic, interior colors, mileage, transmissions, engine sizes, and odometer readings, and I press the button and it boom, it builds me the whole interface. It loads cars, Chris, from inventory on the internet. So you see Hondas and you see Fords and you see all the detail of the car, the model. And I was telling Connor and the team earlier here that it doesn't tell you purple interior. It knows you got black, silver, tan, gray, the common interior colors. That's what it tells you.
Mm-hmm.
It's just amazing. And that's how the AI is working with not only Power Apps, but you'll see it in Power Automate and everything else. And again, if you want to learn more about AI, come out to our 27 session and ask any question you want. We'll be there and to ask the MVP for AI. So thanks again for everybody. Hope you have a great time at the platform, at the Power Platform 24 Revealed. I'm your host, Chris Cognetta. That's my boy, Connor, and we'll see you guys soon.